Welcome everybody to the TripVR Podcast, episode 3. My name is VR Bug and this is Dr. Greg. Say hello, Greg.
Hello, Greg.
Coming up in this episode, we talk about what caught our eye in the VR news over the last couple of weeks, including rumours of Resident Evil 4 coming to VR in Oculus headsets. We've also got the world's first virtual reality physical magazine, and that came to Patreon supporters over the last week. Dr. Greg pops his VRChat Cherry. He finally goes into the metaverse, that crazy social metaverse, and he expresses his thoughts and opinions on that game. We also discuss what we've been playing this week in virtual reality, including Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and a few games that Greg picked up in the holiday sales. And I revisit a couple of classics in the shape of The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, and the Vertigo series. So, Greg, what's caught your eye over the last couple of weeks in the VR news?
Well, there was a hack in Capcom. Capcom had a hack. Somebody used some malware, and they got in, and we got some interesting information out of that. One of them that really excites me a ton is the possibility of Resident Evil 4 being made for Oculus headsets, so like an actual PC VR game in Resident Evil universe would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think
Yeah.
maybe you should give a bit of background to it. So I think it was an article in PC Gamer magazine, and they first kind of reported that Capcom had been hacked, and I think it was leaked on the 4chan website. And as part of that data leak, there was like a number of future Capcom releases that were kind of mentioned. And one of those, you're right, was Resident Evil 4 and potentially coming to virtual reality. Now, the idea of that has got me salivating because I absolutely love the Resident Evil series, and you're a big fan yourself, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's like one of my all-time favorite game series out there.
Yeah, and you were quite obsessed with Resident Evil 7.
I still love that game.
On the PlayStation, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, Resident Evil 8, the Village, hasn't been confirmed to VR yet.
I know. I'm really nervous about that one.
Yeah, and it's like, it's such a shame if they don't bring it out in with virtual reality support. It seems like such a missed opportunity because Resident Evil 7 did so well on the PSVR.
It's a masterpiece.
It's an absolute masterpiece. Brilliant. I mean, how many times do you play through it?
Oh gosh, I don't know anymore. At least like 3 or 4 times, you know. But
yeah,
I tried to play it with Vorpex, but that profile is so messed up, I just couldn't do it. So that's always been my big, gripe, is that they never brought that VR support to PC for Resident Evil 7, like many of us Resident Evil fans. And so that, like I said, this news, I mean, it doesn't really say in the list of games that Resident Evil 4 is going to be VR, but I know there was some stuff on there with the calendar and Oculus. They were working with Oculus and that type of thing. So,
well, that's it. In the leak, it does actually mention Oculus headsets. So that sounds like if it is in development, then it would be available on the Rift as well as maybe the Quest.
Well, they could bring it to the Quest, but that's the thing. Is it going to be the remake, or is it going to be the old Resident Evil 4? And if it's going to be the old Resident Evil 4, is it going to be the over-the-shoulder camera, or are they going to give us a first-person camera view?
Well, I guess there's probably got to be a lot of changes from a development point of view that they're going to have to make to make it a comfortable experience on the Quest. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of remake it from the ground up for virtual reality. Maybe using some of the older assets because they're not particularly high quality textures that are used by today's comparison. Yeah, but they probably look great in VR. So they could use all the old assets, which would run comfortably on the Quest. Maybe give them a bit of a tweak with some, say, modern lighting effects and things, and bring that experience to the mobile headset. And that excites me big time.
That I don't know that so much excites me, because what I want is full on beautiful RE engine VR and PC. When I'm in Resident Evil 2 remake and I'm walking around. Like when you walk in, one of the scenes that really strikes up in my mind is when you walk into that prison scene and the zombies are all in the jail cells, and that one is just sitting there behind the bars going, nah, nah. I'm just like thinking about being able to go up and have that right in your face and that beautiful, just amazing graphics. That's
Yeah.
what I want. That, I mean,
Yeah.
so I would be a bit disappointed if it was just kind of a rehash of the old game for mobile headsets. You
Yeah,
know?
I think you're right. Although the textures wouldn't be particularly high, and it would be quite easy and probably quite tempting just to bring a port of that over to VR. Yeah, having a kind of modern version of it is probably the way they should go, really.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not coming out. I mean, according to their list, the Resident Evil 4 remake and the hack is like fourth quarter 2022. So it's a
Oh.
ways off.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Because I read that it was Q1 next year,
well, not according
April,
to IGN.
for Resident
Uh,
Evil 4 Oculus.
oh, that I don't know. That might be the case. I'm just looking at Resident Evil 4 remake. I didn't know if it was going to be tied to that
Oh,
at all
okay.
or
The
not.
remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's like the pancake version, isn't it? Pancake version of that's going to be, sorry, pancake flat gaming, non VR
Yeah.
games
Yes.
version
Boring
of it.
games.
But well, you can't really say that because they're not boring really, but they're just not as immersive. That's all. They're different. They're different. So yeah, I think that's the full blown flat game remake, and that's at a later date. But the Oculus version of Resident Evil 4 is due to drop, according to the leak, April next year. So
Oh, well, that's
yeah,
more exciting.
I know exactly, and that's why I've got excited about it, knowing that there's another great game like that available in the near future on the Quest headset. I mean, all of this does have to come with the caveat that it's a leak. We don't know whether or not it is from Capcom. It could be completely fabricated. We obviously don't
Well,
know, but
the Capcom did confirm that awful lot of what was in there. It says right here, earlier this week, Capcom confirmed it was the victim of a customized ransomware attack.
wow.
And so, and they did confirm that an awful lot of the information out there was legitimate from the attack, and they're not
Well,
happy.
that's well. I'm not surprised they're not happy. You know,
Yeah,
it's scary to
yeah.
think that these kind of ransomware attacks are on the increase at the moment. But
I had that happen to me once, years and years and years ago when I first got the internet. God, probably in 2001 or so, when I was downloading ROMs for SNES for ZNES, and all of a
this
sudden I had
podcast does not condone
Yeah.
the downloading of copyrighted material in any shape or form.
Yeah.
The opinions of
Now-
certain individuals on this podcast are their own.
I deleted them after 24 hours.
And I owned the original copy, so it's okay. Just so you know, that doesn't wash these days. So just thought I'd make that clear as this conversation's ongoing.
Well, this was a long time ago, and I've changed my ways.
You've changed your
But,
ways. Good.
But yeah, that happened to me. I had shit popping up all over my screens, and I couldn't do anything until but there was this antivirus gold that came up. But if you bought that,
Oh yeah, yeah.
then after I did that, because I was dumb and naive with the world, I didn't know how the internet worked, got rid of the virus. But then the next thing that happened is my credit card they started using it to buy shit.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
And I was like, well, lesson learned.
I think everyone was a bit naive at the start of the internet, really, weren't they?
Oh yeah.
Big time. But the ransomware in this case is like, because it's highly encrypted, you literally can't get at it. Like, it would take you hundreds of years to decrypt it in any shape or form using a supercomputer. So, people are paying up. And there was a big ransomware attack in the UK a couple of years ago, and it was on the NHS. And they managed to encrypt a lot of the NHS servers and cause massive issues. Yeah.
That would be a huge problem.
Yeah, massive issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's on the increase, but as much as I don't condone it, when you get tasty little tidbits getting leaked, like Resident Evil 4 in VR is potentially in development, it's kind of exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we both really enjoyed Resident Evil 7 on the PSVR. For me, it's still one of my favorite horror experiences of all time, and I've played through it
Absolutely.
the same as you, about 4 or 5 times now, something like
Yeah.
that. I've played on the PSVR, and I can feel the itch to play it again. Is that even as I'm talking about it now, like,
Oh yeah.
I can feel that itch to play through it again, and it's done well sales wise. You know, it's still a top seller
Yeah,
on the PSVR even now.
Absolutely.
So it's beyond belief that they wouldn't consider Resident Evil 8 coming to PSVR in the future.
Oh, I know. I see that game. I was like, oh, this, because when they first started announcing Resident Evil 8, I think it was in the spring, I saw lots of articles. If you look, you can still see people, yes, it's going to support VR. Yes, it is. And that one big leaker guy, that aesthetic gamer, whatever his name is.
I'm not aware of him. I don't know anything about him.
He's done a ton of leaks on Capcom. And he even confirmed at one point, yeah, it'll have VR. But then you hear, Sony talking about how, well, we don't have any plans to be supporting VR with the PS5, at least until something happens. I mean,
Yeah.
that's another thing that came out as far as PSVR goes, is the Waltz of the Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
The developers of that said that they're pausing any PSVR development until Sony fleshes out what exactly they're going to do with the VR on the PS5.
Okay, so they've actually stopped developing their game until they understand what the future of PSVR is going to be.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, I can understand that, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, I hope that means that Sony will get off the pot and at least tell us what their plans are.
And I guess Sony's plans have been quite sparse, really. I mean, we've got the adapter that's available for the PSVR, which enables you to use the camera, the standard PSVR camera with the PS5, so you can still continue to play your PSVR games. But with regards to the actual headset itself, like we haven't heard any noise of any new iteration of the PSVR coming for PS5.
No, unless they make a PS4 version of Resident Evil 8, and that has the VR support.
Yeah.
Because
Well, maybe that's what they're holding out for, and that's why there's no news.
Because that's what they're doing with Hitman. The PS4 version will have VR support, but the PS5 version won't.
Yeah.
So
it would be nice to think that maybe they're holding off Resident Evil 8 with VR support for the release of the new iteration of the headset.
Maybe, but we don't even know if that's coming. I mean, there was that talk. Although I think it was last week or this. Within the last 2 weeks where people were getting all excited because Sony has a patent for another headset that's slimmer and sleeker, and it has sensors on it and it has haptics in it and all of that. But when you read further into that article, it's like, but this patent was like, done in 2016.
Yeah.
So that's the same time that the original PSVR was done.
That's it. And, these big companies like Sony, they're constantly researching tech and trying to push the boundaries of what the headset tech can do. And so you see these patents all the time. And
yeah, patents don't mean anything. They just mean they get a patent.
Yeah, it just means that they've researched some technology. They want to patent it because they think they've made like a little breakthrough in some shape or form to do with that tech. So they patent it to be on the safe side. So you end up with all these different iterations of different bits of hardware, and 90% of the time, none of those make it into the final design anyway. So whenever you see a patent, especially for something that Sony's working on, it does not mean that it's going to be included in the next iteration of the headset.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But again, it's something that, we all get excited for. Every time I see a new patent, I can't help but think maybe that's going to be in the next one. Maybe. Just maybe,
Yeah.
But we can hope. I hope that Sony hasn't given up on VR. It's making noises along the lines of it believes in VR. It believes that it can be a very big platform in the future, but also that it still needs a bit of time to mature. So they support it, but they're just not pushing it forward right now. And I think they're probably hanging on to see which way the market goes over the next couple of years. So
That is-
chances
yeah.
of another PSVR probably not for what do you reckon, 2 years?
I'd say at least a year, if not two. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I would like to see it in a year. I think it would be a great thing to do for like next holiday season is to have a new headset. That would be really good for Sony, and it would be
Yeah.
really good for us, really. But
Yeah, I
but,
know.
you also see like the success of the Quest 2 and everything, and some of these patents that Sony's been coming out with, you've got to wonder if some of it, if they're not trying to look into say, hey, maybe we want a little of that standalone headset money that's going out because we all know Facebook could use some competition.
Yeah, and you hear that
So
all the time. Oculus, Facebook need competition in the market. They're dominating right now, to the point where they can literally call anything they want and allow anything they want on their platform and deny, games from specific developers if they don't want them on the platform. They can push out the competition.
or they just steal their stuff, rearrange it a little bit. You
Yeah,
know, like
rumor is they're stealing stuff as well. But again, it's
Horizons
all rumor. Yeah.
Horizons is just what Rec Room. It's just another version of Rec Room.
I mean, the thing is,
you know?
the industry is no stranger to developers copying other developers on certain
Look at how many
game
Beat
mechanics
Saber
and things.
clones we've seen.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if you're forcing the competition out on purpose from your own platform that you monopolize, and then copy their content, then it's antitrust, it's anti-competitive. It needs to be dealt with definitely. And there has been a few examples of that, and people are concerned in the VR community right now. And I don't blame them really, to be honest.
I don't either, but I just put on. I really like my Rift S, and I really like my Quest 2, and I love the software that those guys put out. And so I see this. I mean, I know that they do bad things, but I also know that they've done so much for VR that I just have trouble hating them.
Yeah. And we hear so much negativity about Facebook that we fail a lot of the time to kind of see the positives. And the positives are that VR might not even have survived the last 4 years without Facebook
them.
taking up the mantle of VR technology and trying to push it forward and investing in studios to bring high quality content when you think of things like Asgard's Wrath and Stormland. To keep that interest high, even in the PC VR scene with like the Rift and the Rift S, over to Quest releases as well. So Facebook, obviously it's a social media company, and that comes with the caveat that everything revolves around adverts and trying to sell you things. So they're harvesting that data. It's no secret they are, but they have done a lot for the VR industry up to this point and continue to do so. What about you, Greg? What have you been up to for the last couple of weeks in VR?
Well, actually, it was kind of exciting because there's a couple of games that I've really been wanting, and I just haven't wanted to pay full price, So the Oculus Black Friday sale came out. Now, of course, I've been playing Population 1, but that goes without saying.
I don't think we can have a podcast without mentioning Population 1 at least once.
It's just so good.
Yeah, we're all still addicted to it. We're still addicted, let's face it.
Yeah, but I also found that on the Oculus Black Friday sale, Stormland was on sale finally.
Oh, nice.
Like in the summer sale, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get Stormland." It wasn't on sale, so it was nice to see that it was on sale this time, and it was pretty. I can't remember exactly what I paid for it. It was around $20 though, so it was quite a bit cheaper than what it sold for. And man, I gotta say that game, it is so fun. It is just gorgeous. I love the mechanics in it, man. It's like just like when you first step off into that slipstream or whatever, and you're like flying around on the ground, and hit the thrusters. Oh, it just feels like it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And,
I know what you mean. I absolutely love that flying mechanic. Like, the moment that you kind of put your arms out and you just go off that last bit of ground into the sea, and then it just goes bang, just shoots off really, really quickly. and you hit those kind of weird things as well.
Yeah,
as you go
that
forward.
shoot you even faster.
Yeah, that makes you go even faster. And then if you hit 2 of those on the trot, then you just absolutely go for it, don't you?
Oh,
I'm really glad that you like Stormland. Actually,
It's well,
such a good game.
The cool thing, that's another one of those games that just does that thing I love so much, where it just transports you in such a foreign world, but it's just so immersive, and all of the interactions are so great. Like the climbing mechanic, when you get that going, you can just zip up those walls. It's so fun. Kind of reminds me of Population 1, but. But
we are too addicted.
Yeah.
We're too addicted.
And then the shooting, and that also reminds me of
Population 1. Population 1.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Stormland. The other mechanic that I liked, you say you like the game's mechanics, is when you rip off your arm to upgrade.
Yes, that's great. Or I absolutely love the way that they tell the story, kind of like with a robot holographic memory, which is really cool. Kind of reminds me a lot of kind of the way they did Farpoint, where you'd scan and you'd see the holograms of what was going on. And
really similar to Farpoint, actually, for the storytelling.
Yeah. But I just love that because it puts you in the story, and you can kind of watch things and walk around it, and you develop I've only played a little over an hour of that game, and I've already feel like an emotional connection to that one robot that had the flower growing out of her chest. I just really like that robot, and and then that big hunky guy that obviously is evil. I picked that up right away, and I don't like him at all. Let me tell you.
There was just something about the way he moved.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's an amazing game. The story is incredible. And I also felt that kind of sense of connection as the story went on with the characters, which not many games get me that way, actually. But there's something about the combination of like technology and nature. Like, we've all come from nature. That's where we've originated from. And then technology moves us forward. But when the two combine like that, like plants and like robotics, there's something weird about that combination that kind of works in this game, and I love the story behind it. It's really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. It's a really good game. The other one that I just played, I just started yesterday. Oh my God, I love it so much. The Phantom Covert Ops.
Oh, nice. Not one I've played.
Yes, I was kind of skeptical about this game because, first of all, I don't know if you remember, because this is years and years ago, but In Dreams put out a game called The Assembly. And I absolutely hated that game. It was so stupid. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the mechanics. The locomotion was really stupid. It felt like a point and click game that was converted to VR poorly, but it was actually built from the ground up for VR. And I remember it so bad. Right after they released it, they patched it right away because people were complaining about the locomotion so much. I can't remember exactly why, but I just remember they had to change it. This silly things like, they built this super evil corporation built this great big gigantic room to do a simulation on disease spread that was just a computer game. I mean, why not just use a laptop? It just seemed like a massive waste of resources to me.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah, just goofy stuff. I just didn't like the game. But so, there was that strike. And then I was also like, really, a game where you're just sitting in a kayak the whole game? Is that going to be fun? So I've been waiting for it, but I had to try it because David Hayter is in it.
Oh yeah,
Solid Snake, and I love David Hayter's voice. He's the bad guy though in this one.
Yeah, for those that don't know, then David Hayter was the voice of Solid Snake in the Metal Gear Solid series.
Yeah, so he doesn't sound like Solid Snake because he's talking with a Russian accent. That is
one thing I'll say. No, that spoils it. That spoils it for me already.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I will say is that's very, very convenient is all of these Russians in Russia are speaking English, which is good for me because I don't speak Russian.
Yes, that is
but
good.
They still have the accent. But anyway, but it starts out, it feels just like, Metal Gear Solid type of game. It starts off with your briefing and the pictures and the maps and just that type of thing, which is really cool. Uh, and then here you are, and you're in this kayak, which you've got like your paddle, you've got a sniper rifle, you've got a gun on your chest, and then a SMG on your back. This little visor where you can like take pictures and it'll highlight areas of interest, like things you can use to distract guards or
Mm-hmm.
and the I was also a little bit worried about motion sickness. Not that I ever get motion sick in VR
Okay.
anymore, unless I'm in a vehicle like a boat or a car. Like when I played Half-Life 2, um, I had to skip the airboat part in VR. I
Oh,
couldn't do it. Or like the
not
dune buggy
surprised.
part. I just couldn't do those in VR. They made me sick almost instantly.
Yeah.
But the paddle motion and everything and how it works really well. And I even have all the smooth turning on and everything. So, and I didn't get sick at all. It feels fantastic.
Oh, that's great
The,
news.
you can feel the haptics in your controllers as your paddles hit the water, which really adds a lot. And I'm playing it on the Rift S. It
Mm-hmm.
is cross-buy, by the way, though. So if you buy it on the Rift S, you can still download it and play it on your Quest too.
Oh,
So
I
that's
love the fact
nice.
that developers have that option for
Yeah, me
cross-buy.
too. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
But it's a beautiful game. The stealth mechanics are a lot of fun. Like you're hiding in the reeds or stuff, and you distract a guard to get through really quick. There's one point, it was so funny because I opened up a gate and all of the guards, everybody was coming in. And I just freak out because it took me forever to get to the box to open the gate to get my paddle or my boat situated right. And they all start running, and I just freak out and just start paddling backwards. And fortunately, I went through the door and ended up like right in some reeds. I was like,
Oh, really? That was lucky.
yeah. Like, and occasionally you'll find like high value targets that your person in your head will tell you, take them out and kill them and
Hmm.
that type of thing. So, you get scored as you go on. There's like leaderboards and stuff. So obviously it's hooked to the web, and it's keeping track of what you're doing. No, I really, really love the game. It is a lot of fun.
So for the last couple of weeks, I've started to kind of like a new YouTube channel. I've kind of come over from Twitch. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm replaying all of the classic experiences and games that I've enjoyed in the past, and I'm replaying them on YouTube. And two of them I've gone back to over the last 2 weeks, which is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners by Skydance Interactive, and also the Vertigo series by Zalubo Productions. And I'm having such a great time replaying those, and it's the same with
Those are
like
two of my favorite games.
they are they're like
Yeah.
two of your favorite games, are they? Yeah. Well, you must get it. I mean, if they're your favorite games, you must understand why I had to go back and play these ones again. So Saints and Sinners, when I first loaded back into it, I forgot how polished it was. Like how great those graphics
Yeah.
are, and the graphics have like a kind of cartoon tinge to them, but there's an edge of realism as well. And I don't know how they achieve that. It's kind of like a cell shading kind of approach, like they do in Borderlands series. It's that kind of
But
thing.
it's way better than
Yeah,
Borderlands.
it is.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I don't understand. Like my head believes it's real. But then you look at the characters while they're talking, and you're clocking that they're just these animated cartoon characters. But as you're walking around, it feels real. Like, it's quite incredible what they've done with the
Yeah.
graphics for that game.
Have you looked at the difference between the computer and then played it in the Quest 2?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, they did a really good job in the Quest 2 version of that. You need to do that. It's not as good. It's not as good as the PC. I mean, the PC version is just it's so pretty.
Yeah.
I noticed that the Quest 2 is a little muddier
Okay.
looking. It doesn't. Some of the colors don't really pop up. The skybox is a little. It just looks duller. They don't have like the transparent textures on things and stuff, so it's not as good. But what they've managed to do in the Quest 2 version is fantastic.
Well,
So
would you say
you have to play it again?
it's worth playing again on the Quest 2 with those kind of differences?
I think that's depends on how much people like the game. I mean,
Okay.
I bought it on the Quest 2 just because I had to try it out and see how good it was, and I like it. I still
Yeah.
like it better on PC.
Yeah, I think now I've played through the game, the full story twice. I probably won't go back to it now unless they release kind of like an extension of the story in like a DLC or something. Other than that, I think my time with Saints and Sinners is done now. I feel like I've got like the full experience out of the game, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
The game is stressful.
It is stressful. It is very stressful. And, you know, the game's designed to be stressful. It's designed to make you feel that apprehension as you walk around the world, to feel that you're running out of time all the time. Like when the alarm goes off on your wristwatch, for example, which is basically a signal that it's horde o'clock. So we're going to get loads of walkers coming at you from all angles, and it's going to be a tough time to make it back to your resting place safely. And
have you ever been stuck in one of those hordes?
Oh yeah, when on my first playthrough of the game, I got stuck several times, and there's just no. I don't think I successfully escaped the horde and made it back to a boat. I don't think I did. Did you ever do that?
One of the times I came so close, and I mean it was one of those situations where the horde was coming in. I was trying to hit him with my axe because all my knives were dead, and somehow I dropped my axe in the middle of the horde, you know, and they're surrounding me. One of the things I like, how you can like grab them and push them into the other zombies, you know, and it kind of like it makes way for. And so, and of course my stamina was shot, so I was just barely moving, just and you know, and I was like this far from my skiff. I'd gone down, and I just about, and one got me from the back and killed me.
Oh no!
I was like, no.
You were nearly there as well. Oh.
But my backpack was right there when I respawned, so I just grabbed it and ran on my skiff, so that was okay.
Yeah. It is great that you can kind of reach out and kind of push the zombies' foreheads, and you see them go back and knock the others like Skittles. And when you're getting really, really desperate to kind of scrabble for your weapons, like let's say a shiv that you've got is just broken, you need time to get into the backpack and grab another one, you know, so you can get back to fighting. If you just grab them by the forehead, just push them back, see them getting knocked back, it gives you those few seconds that is enough time for you to go grab back again, and then you can carry on. And it's just fantastic that mechanic exists.
Those walkers, man, they look so good. I know they're stylized, but just the way that they move and the sounds that they make, when you see one of those guys scooting down the street at you, it just feels so real, and I just love it.
And that sense of danger, you know, it's not a horde of zombies, it's just one walker coming towards you, but you still know there is a chance that you could do something really stupid and he could still kill you. Like, you know, you go to pull out your gun really slowly, and you're like, I'm just going to shoot him. And you wait until he's up close, and you go like that, and you go, click. Oh,
crap,
and then you're like, oh no. And then he's on you, and you're dead. Like, so that sense of dread that you could do something stupid and get eaten by a walker at any moment is kind of the key factor in the game that keeps you scared. Last couple of weeks as well, I've been playing Vertigo Remastered by Zulubu Productions, which is an absolutely incredible game, and it still blows my mind that he was only 16 years old when he started developing this. You know, that's just crazy, isn't it? 16-year-old came up with the idea for this game and started coding at that age.
I got him a job at Valve, so he must have done a pretty good job.
well, that's it. He was working with Valve for a while, wasn't he? He did the Moondust tech demo. He also did an update to the lab, which involved adding Knuckles' index controller support at the time as well. So somebody who's the age of 16, you know, a few years later getting picked up by Valve, is quite an incredible story. I don't know whether he was doing just like work experience there, or whether he was actually an employee of Valve at the time. Like, I don't know what the backstory is there, but just quite incredible that he's worked alongside them.
Yeah, that game is like, I think it was the first action adventure game I played in VR with my Vive. And I mean, it had so many. This was back before the remaster, but it had so many just amazing VR gimmicks in it, you know, like shrinking you really small in one area. There's one, it wasn't in this version because he changed this out, I think, for where you actually did ride in that car through the mountains and stuff, or through the caves. But in the original version, there was this there was this thing that you had to like physically lay down on the floor
Okay.
to shoot through or whatever. It was just, he really gets you involved in the game. Is great use of VR. One thing I think I noticed that isn't in this one, there was something with the little deal that you use, the teleport you and stuff, where you
Yeah.
could slow time down in the original one.
Okay.
So like it's pretty early on in the game where you have to move this vent and crawl into the vents and then get into another room.
Hmm.
But you had to actually use this thing to slow this fan down so that you could get through the blades. You
Do
don't
you
have
know
to,
what? I vaguely remember that. I tried
yeah.
playing the original Vertigo, not so long after it released, and I think I hit a bug in the tutorial, and it just wouldn't work for me. And maybe, I don't know, it was something to do with controller mappings. I'm not too sure, but I just couldn't get it to work. So I kind of put it to one side. I left it, and then I heard that he was developing a remaster. So my
Yeah.
proper first experience of Vertigo was really the remaster.
Well, that's a
So
good one. It's so pretty. He did
mm,
just such a great job in that game. It does have that really great adventure, uh, Valve style feel to the game.
yeah,
It's got really good humor in it. I
yeah,
love the big environmental puzzles in there. You walk into these massive rooms and you have to like just go all around them and all the zip lines and everything. It's just fun.
yeah. And I think that's why it's called Vertigo, or it feels like it's called Vertigo for that reason, because the environments are so big.
Yeah.
You kind of go through these small cave systems, and it opens out into like a giant cavern where there's some sort of crazy big machinery or something that's in there, and yeah, it just blows your mind a little bit. But what I can't get my head around with this game is that he was 16 years old when he started making it, and he's got every aspect of game design nailed. Kind of it's the kind of game that you expect to be made by a really big team, and he's managed to achieve it himself. And it just fills me with hope for the sequel, Vertigo 2, that I think in Steam it's still saying that it's due for release in 2020, and I don't know whether or not that's going to be pushed back, or whether it will release. But I'm hoping it's going to be like a Christmas present, and that we'll be playing Vertigo 2 next month.
Yeah, the demo is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played through the demo as well of Vertigo 2. So I played through the whole of Vertigo Remastered, and then I went straight onto the Vertigo 2 demo. And I cannot wait to experience Vertigo 2. I think it's one of my most anticipated games right now. Okay, so coming up now, I am a patron of VR Trend magazine. For those that don't know, VR Trend magazine is a computer magazine purely focused around virtual reality gaming. And the idea came about from the Bearded Bard on Twitter, who I'm going to be interviewing later on today. And I'm going to be asking him questions as to how the magazine came about, where he got the idea from, and where he sees it going in the future. So this is the first issue. I have it in hand here. So let's have a chat with him and see how this came to fruition. Guess what's on the back, Greg?
It's Population 1.
Population 1 again. Welcome everyone. I have with us here today Daniel Nelmar, who is the creator and owner of the new VR Trend magazine that is a virtual reality gaming focused magazine, first of its kind in the world. So absolute pleasure to have you here, Daniel. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's all right. Should I call you Daniel, or should I call you the Bearded Bard?
You know what? You call me whatever you want to call me.
I'm going to call
Daniel's
you Bard.
just fine.
All right, Daniel, then. That's
fine
absolutely
too,
fine.
yeah.
So I thought we'd start with a little bit of background.
Sure.
When did you first get interested in virtual reality?
So my first interest, I messed around with the DK1 a little bit, but I didn't actually get deep interested until the Vive launch, the original Vive launch. So I went to, there was a little exhibition in my town, and they had a Vive there before the Vive actually launched for consumers. And I got in it, and I played the lab, and I played Brookhaven, I think was the second game I played, which was
Oh, that's a
zombie
horror
game.
one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I walked out. I had 10 minutes in there, and I walked out of the exhibition, and I took out my credit card, and I spent $1,300 on a original Vive, right? Because
Yeah.
was the U.S. price when they first launched. And then I had to wait 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get it, and then I was on it. I took like 4 days off work, and I was on it 24/7. And the first app I jumped into was High Fidelity at the time, was just getting started under Philip Rosedale, and it was me and like 4 other people standing in this big empty like room, and it was before VRChat started, and it was before AltSpace was just getting started, and I remember talking with these guys, and I was like, dude, this is it. Like, this is going to change everything. And, and ended up getting a job with High Fidelity, which was funny. I met him in VR, and they invited me to an interview, and my interview was in VR,
Amazing.
in a virtual bar.
Uh-huh.
And Jasmine, who was with High Fidelity and is still in the VR world, she interviewed me in VR, and I started working a VR job, and it was so weird because people would ask me, they'd be like, "Oh, you work in VR? That's cool." But what they didn't understand was I worked in VR. So
VR,
like,
yeah.
I worked from 3 in the afternoon until 1 in the morning, 5 days a week. I'd put on my VR headset. It would load me up in the welcome room in High Fidelity, and I was essentially the Walmart greeter.
No
So
way.
you come in, every real person who came in, I would welcome them, and I'd show them how to use High Fidelity and how to navigate around and create their own world. And I did that for a while, and it was so much fun. That's when I knew.
What a unique position and an opportunity, to get involved that early on in something so big, and High Fidelity is still around now, isn't it?
So it is kind of. So they pivoted a little bit from what they were originally doing. They were they were a social platform that was built upon the idea of developers coming in there and building worlds and real estate and stuff, similar to VRChat, but more geared towards actual developers, right?
Okay.
So, a lot of the user base wasn't there because it was so much easier to jump in AltSpace or jump in VRChat, where the world's already built and you can just float between them. So,
yeah.
But yeah, great company. And, that was under Philip Rosedale, the creator of Second Life. And so it was really cool to just be a part of that community. So that kind of is what got me started in VR. And then from then on, I've just been trying to keep my foot in it ever since. I worked as UX sales manager for Pimax, so I worked for Pimax and did a lot of work as an ambassador for VReal and then now an Oculus ambassador, as well as doing VR Trend magazine. So it's been the most welcoming community. So I've just kind of just trying to entrench myself in it as much as I can, So
that's it. And I guess that kind of brings us round to the magazine. So for those who don't know, VR Trend, here it is. I've got a copy.
Hey, still in the wrapping.
I know, still in the. I'm keeping it in the wrapping because I just want to keep it nice and neat, because I think that this is going to get big, and when it gets big, I want to have this framed on the wall somewhere to say I was here at the beginning, episode 1. Like, I firmly believe it. I really do. After reading the content, I've read the whole thing, cover to cover, every single word, and I think it's got a lot of potential. So, when did the idea of the magazine first come to you, and when was that moment that you thought, do you know what? The community, the people out there, the VR users, they need something that they can physically hold in their hands and appreciate. So when did that first idea come to you?
So so it happened really quick. Okay. So from me randomly having the idea and talking about it to our first issue going out was about 4 months.
Wow, that's a fast turnaround.
So my day-to-day job, right, when I'm not in virtual reality, is I'm running a publishing company that creates like a 52-page magazine that's geared towards like real estate, right?
Okay.
Real estate market.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this, and I'm obviously I'm on VR all day on YouTube, and Twitter, and just scanning. And it hit me, and I was like, man, there's so many people doing VR news. There's so many people doing VR YouTube. There's so many. How can I take something in this space and give it a new feel, right?
Yeah.
And I think I was thinking about it wrong, because as I was sitting there looking at the magazine, I was like, well, maybe I don't need to think of something. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe if I just take everything and put it in something that's more physical. And at the time, my thought was, you know what? I already create a magazine. Why wouldn't I just take all the stuff I love about VR, put it in a magazine, and then I could distribute that to like VR arcades. And so people who are sitting there looking at, playing a game in a VR arcade would like to do this. So originally when I came up with the idea and started talking with Cody about it, he does all of our layout and design, really great guy. The idea was just to make something to pitch to VR arcades, to have sitting on their tables there. Well, then COVID happens and it was getting worse, and the VR arcade industry took a really big dive, obviously.
Yeah.
So, we kind of had to think about it, and we were like, well, maybe there's people that would want to subscribe and just get it sent to their house directly. So I put out a tweet, and it was like, hey, thinking of doing a VR magazine. Would anyone be interested in that? And a lot of people commented on it. It was one of my biggest tweets. And I was like, oh my God, there might be something here.
That's so good that you've got the ability to just kind of test the water with the VR users and community out there.
Yeah.
Just test an idea, and
wow,
that's incredible that you got that feedback straight away.
Dude. And then we made a website. We got excited. We got overexcited. We're like, we should think about making this a thing. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I make a website, and we make a Twitter for it. And we start setting up the Patreon, because we didn't know how we have no idea, man, how we were going to run a subscription service, how we were going to do all that. So I was like, well, let's make a Patreon and see if that works, because we noticed a couple other magazines were using a Patreon as that payment method. So we try it, and we put it up, and it was just a placeholder. There's no real information on there other than a mock-up that we had made and a little snippet of what we want to do. And the next day we woke up and there were 4 Patreons, and we were like, shit, now
Fantastic.
we have to do this.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
That's it. You kind of tied yourself into it the moment you launched it on Patreon, didn't you? You kind of had to honor it.
I mean, it was 2 hours after launching. I think German Rifter was our first Patreon, and it was instantaneous. And I was like, oh no, now we've set it in motion, and people are expecting it. So the next 2 months I worked on just putting feelers out there for content, because obviously I can't write 60 pages worth. Originally it was supposed to be 40 pages, but we got so much content in that we expanded it to 60, or is it 60 pages now? I think 60 pages.
Yeah.
So we kind of went overboard on that aspect of it, but it was great, because what we realized was everyone was just as passionate about VR as we were, and they wanted to share their projects. They wanted to share their passions. They wanted to share what they were working on. They wanted to share their ideas about things and their reviews. So coming across content was a piece of cake. Everyone wanted to be involved. And when we started getting people involved, it became like, oh my God, this could be a real thing, And then we get to the first issue, and we're at 110 Patreons, and then that launches. And then people start to get it. And then fast forward 3 weeks, and now we're at 180 Patreons.
180 patrons. That's amazing.
Yeah. And, and growing. So we're like, now we're going into issue 2, and we got to just step it up. So it's been a weird, fast journey.
Bit of a crazy ride, I would have thought.
It's happened at such a weird time. You know what I mean? With COVID and everything, it's like, life's a little harder anyway. So trying to juggle this has been tough, but it's also been the only thing to take our minds off everything else.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Well, I mean, for a first issue, it's incredible, So if you carry on the way you are and just continue tweaking it and getting even more content, it's just going to evolve into the magazine for VR. I would have thought over time.
That's the goal, man. And issue by issue, we're trying to. What we want people to do is we want people to flip through it, and we want it to have the vibe of the old school magazines, right? Yeah. So, it's so hard to recreate that nostalgia and that feel, especially when you're dealing with new tech, right? So we're getting creative with this next issue. I mean, we're putting in There's going to be Steam keys littered throughout it from a number of different developers have given us Steam
fantastic.
keys. And,
Yeah.
what we're thinking of doing is printing out a page that has like a fake demo disc printed out on it, and around the demo disc is the Steam keys for you to input, you know.
That's a great idea.
I think Vivian from VR Respawn's working on an activity page, so like a crossword puzzle and stuff like that, just for something fun, you know. And then we're working on, you know, trying to upgrade the magazine. As far as, if you look at the magazine you have now, it's stapled on the inside, right?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is upgrade to what they call like a perfect binding. So there's no staples, it's actually a glue.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And what that allows us to do is put like issue 1 on the side of here, so when you stack them up nicely, you can visually see what you're looking at, you know.
That's great.
So like there's so much stuff we're like, we want to do and we're trying to do. But even at 180 Patreons, we're just getting to the point where we're almost breaking even, because I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but we made the ambitious decision to offer international shipping right away. So to give you, I'm
glad you did though.
So I was talking to Gamertag, and I was like, okay, just to give you an idea, your magazine probably cost you overall, because we ship every 2 months, maybe $12. Okay. Our cost to make your magazine and put it in the poly thing, is about almost $9. So there's not a lot of skin on the bone.
Yeah.
The shipping to get it to Gamertag was $11. So now we're negative, right? So luckily we've been pretty lucky with the amount of digital subscribers, right? Because we have a lot of people who are donating $1 a month, you know, so that's $2 for a digital issue that you get in a PDF. And those guys really help pay the shipping costs. I mean, for everyone else, because, you know, unfortunately we're not printing out the quantities yet to where we get a substantial discount on shipping or on printing magazines, you know. Okay. So it's still we're still learning every day.
I bet.
What should we be doing? What's
huge
the best
learning curve? So
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You mentioned one other member of the team there. Was it Cody that you mentioned?
Cody. Yeah.
Cody. So how many people do you have on the team in total at the moment? Is it just literally you and Cody, or?
Yeah. So it's Cody. Yeah, it's Cody and I. And then actually, if you look through the magazine, a lot of the backgrounds and a lot of the key art we use, like the on the inside cover, there's that owl drawing, the Oculus.
Yeah, stunning. That is good.
So his wife and my wife actually did all those drawings.
Nice.
For us, because we were like, we don't want to use stock images, right, from Adobe Suites or stuff. We want this to be custom. We want it to be personalized. We want everything to be really geared towards VR. So we were like, we have to create all this extra filler art ourselves.
Yeah.
So I mean, between them helping us do that and make some of the backgrounds, then me and Cody did the rest of it. And Cody really did a good amount of, I mean, you know, I did a lot of the, you know, networking and getting people interested in the magazine and reaching out to creators to be in the magazine and that sort of stuff. But when it comes to actual layout and design, Cody did 80% of the magazine.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Well, that's great that you've got help already.
5 hours
a
night. Yeah, he was spending 5 hours a night in InDesign, just sending me iteration after iteration. Does this look good? Does this look good? How does this look? You know, 3 different test copies before we were like happy with the way the paper felt and it looked, because we wanted it to look and feel like a magazine you'd go and buy at GameStop, you know, or at a supermarket, you know. So we put a lot of effort into it. And now it's shipped out, and now we have to hurry up to get the second one done. So it's crazy, man, but it's fun and it's exciting, and like the more people that learn about the magazine, the more people reach out to us to want to be a part of it, you know. So now we have bigger people who want to write for it, and you know, you're going to see a big issue from the VR awards in there for the second issue, and you know, a recap of 2020, and we're going to have some stuff from SideQuest in there. And I mean, we have such a community of people who are willing to give us their content, and it's great. I mean, because everyone wants their content to be seen by people, right? But what's cool is like, it's all people from the community that I've been around for the last 5+ years. You know, we've seen side quests start from 30 followers to where they are now, and we've seen Starcade Arcade start from where they are and create the games they've created now. And we've seen all these companies, like, we were here at the beginning. If you've been around for the last 3 years, you've been around since these guys have just got started.
Yeah.
You know, and to like kind of feel like you have a way to contribute to their success while they're contributing to your success is awesome.
It's great. And I have to say, reading the background stories of how these developers got started, where they're at now, is just incredible, you know. And as you say, I've kind of been in the VN community for the last 4 years as well, so I recognize a lot of the names that have contributed to the magazine. So getting a bit more information about these people that I just kind of interact with on Twitter every now and then is just crazy to me. Well,
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the Patreon tiers and where people can find you.
Sure. So you can find us at vrtrendmagazine.com or at vrtrendmagazine on all social medias. We do most of our social media via Twitter and on our website. So that's the best place to get in contact with us. Alternately, you can always reach out to me at The Bearded Bard, or Cody is at Cody.Sturgis. And, you know, we want to hear any ideas that anyone might have. As far as the Patreons, our lowest Patreon starts at $1 a month, which is for digital. And then our lowest physical is $4.99 a month US. And I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's $8.99 international. And that's to help cover some of the excess shipping costs associated with that. And then we have our larger tiers, which are our Mogul and Knights of the Metaverse tiers, which is available US and international, and that includes a pull-out poster that's in each issue as well.
I upgraded to that one just for that poster.
Yes, last issue was Population 1, and then this issue we have an idea of what it's going to be, but we haven't settled on it yet. We're working on trying to do a double side, so we'll see if we can get to that this issue. If not, by issue 3 we want to have double-sided posters so we can offer, you know, a little more options as far as what you want to put on your wall. But they're good sized posters, and the quality is amazing, and it's just fun. It's going to be fun to have our VR rooms littered with posters. You know, VR
I can imagine. Well, so, that's great. Thank you so much for spending a bit of time with me and just having a bit of a chat. I wish you all the best for the future of the magazine, and I'm sure it's going to be a success, and I look forward to more issues dropping through my post box.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the time. Thanks for talking with me. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
So a couple of days ago, I discovered that Greg has not been in VRChat. So for those who don't know, VRChat is an online social metaverse where there's thousands of user-created worlds that are all linked together that you can jump into and experience, and you can customize your own avatars and choose again from thousands of avatars that are out there, or make your own and upload them to the world. So when I found this out, it was only right that Greg jumped into VRChat to pop his VRChat Cherry and just see what he thought, really. So what did you think of VRChat, Greg? First impressions when you kind of loaded in.
It's wild. It was a good time. It's pretty trippy. Of course, when I first came in, I was in your hentai palace, so that was kind of weird.
Right. I need to explain this, right? So I got into VRChat first, and I just wanted to select a world that looked like nobody was in it, and it looked like it was just a really basic world, like an apartment or something, and where we could have a chat and just talk about VRChat and the mechanics and all this kind of stuff. And so I picked one at random, and it turned out to be pretty much an anime hentai experience. So that was Greg's first entrance into VRChat.
First entrance, yep. I walk in and I have my banana avatar, which I was so happy that I could be a banana. And, and I was running around and I run into this room and we're surrounded. There's a stripper pole and there's like, I don't know, like a good, maybe like 10 like anime body pillows lined up against the wall.
Of all the worlds to choose at random, I chose that one. Oh my God. I swear it's not subconscious. It was completely random.
But it did have the massive pot plants and the big water bong and all that, so that was fun.
It did. It really did. And I think we both ended up being bananas in
Yes, we
VR
did
chat,
at
didn't
one
we?
point.
For
Yeah,
for
so we
most
went
of the
dancing.
experience.
Remember, we went to that one room and we were like dancing on the stage, and it put us on a big screen, and it was.
That's it. So, what did you think about like the worlds that you visited, and did it live up to your expectations? What did you think VR chat was going to be like before you went in, and how did it compare?
Honestly, I was actually it was beyond my expectations a little bit because the only social thing like that I've experienced I think is Rec Room, and the graphics in this were much better. I think they're using the Unreal Engine now though, and a lot
Oh,
of
it's
it.
actually it's Unity that they're
Oh,
using.
Unity.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Unity. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the graphics were way better. It was crazy. The avatars, some of them were just blowing me away. And then some were annoying, like that one that Knuckles avatar, the guy that we tried to block. He
Yeah.
was annoying.
Well,
But
VR chat has a lot of social safety features that they built in now
yeah,
because the platform is very popular and it is growing. They keep on breaking records with the number of concurrent users in VR chat again and again and again. And I suspect coming up for Christmas with people with their Quest 2s,
oh yeah,
they're going to break more records moving forward. So whenever you're dealing with the general public and anyone can log in of pretty much any age, I think Facebook are basically saying that you shouldn't be using Quest 2 unless you're about 13 years or over. But you can tell that some of the users of VR chat are even younger than that sometimes, and you need the ability to switch them off, don't you? Mute them, block them, whatever. And VR chat gives you lots of those kind of options around that kind of thing, moderation.
and I could dance. I could dance like a fool as a stormtrooper in the.
That's it. Well, tell the story. So we went into one world.
Void. Is the void.
The
I think,
Void,
is
the Void, yeah,
yeah.
which is like a kind of club experience in VR chat. So
Yeah.
what happened in that, Greg?
Oh yeah, that was fun. We cloned ourselves as stormtroopers, and you had to hold your controllers weird. I had to like have my thumb on the right side of my trackpad and hold my arms up like this, but then my avatar just started dancing like crazy. And then if you moved, you'd leave all these like tracer shadows of yourself all over the place, which was really fun.
Yeah, see, so as if you produce custom avatars, you can also have canned animations that can be attached to that avatar that you can trigger with certain movements with the controller. And yeah, we were struggling to kind of trigger this stormtrooper animation, weren't we? This kind of Star Wars character. But it was really strange, but amazing to watch. But really, really strange how people come up with some of these ideas for animations. I've got no idea, you know.
Yeah, like that one guy that walked in and he was like that big, what I can't remember what they're called, but it's from Doom. It's the big skull guys with the cannons on their
Oh
shoulders.
yeah, I know
and
the ones you mean. Yeah,
he was like 10 feet tall.
that's it. And there was one guy that we met that he was an avatar from Warhammer. What is it? 4,000?
Yeah.
I don't really play Warhammer, so
I don't know.
I don't really. I probably got it wrong, people. So just ignore that. Anyway, what he did was he managed to call in an entire spaceship fleet into the world.
It's like
So-
all of these ships above us, they were huge, and then
Yeah.
they bombed us.
Yeah. It's like, how'd you do that? Like, he somehow attached this animation to his avatar where he could call it an entire fleet of starships into whichever world you're in VR chat. And you look above your head, and they were huge, weren't they?
Yeah,
They're absolutely
there were
massive.
thousands of them. I
Yeah.
can't believe it didn't crash the game.
I can't either, because normally when people do that kind of thing in VR chat, it can crash the world. But how that was stable, I've got no idea. But yeah, so one of the big pluses is the ability to change your avatar, to surf all these worlds, and there's such a massive variety that I don't think you could ever really get bored in VR chat, because
Probably not.
it's the randomness of it all. You just don't know who you're going to meet, what world you're going to end up in, and everyone remembers certain worlds that they've been to that they loved, and so they recommend it to you. And then they can drop a portal which you can all walk through together and go on to the next world, and it just keeps on going, you know. So
We
it
still
just
need
keeps
to
on
do
giving that game.
the Among Us thing. I want to do that. because it's supposed to be really, really cool. I've never played the game, so it'd be
Yeah.
fun just going
Well,
in cold.
you're the same as me. So I've never played Among Us. I know what it is. I know roughly what the game's about. It's been very popular with content creators. The VR chat version's meant to be better than
Yeah,
the
because you're in
flat version of the
VR.
game. Yeah, well, you know, everything in VR is better apparently. So yeah, it's. I wouldn't mind going back and doing Among Us at some point. I think, but you know, it'd be good to get a group of us together to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
I was talking with somebody on Twitter about this, how for me, virtual reality, the one thing that just absolutely never ceases to blow me away is how in a social experience or a multiplayer experience, how that person's essence is there. It's not like playing with somebody on a flat screen because it feels like they're in the same space with you. And it's magical. It's just amazing to me. I really feel like if more people had VR, we would probably see less of this depression that people are having not being able to be in the same space with somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you 100%. It's been an absolute lifesaver during the pandemic so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm the same as you. We both admit to being quite introverted, but at the same time, when you do get that craving for social interaction, being able to put the headset on and go and talk to people and feel a sense of presence there is a really great thing. And you almost get a sense of relief after you've been interacting with other people outside of whoever you've got in your four walls currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and VR chat is one of a number of social applications that are out there, but I still think for fun, pure fun, craziness, wackiness, VR chat's the way forward.
It's amazing. Yeah. Two thumbs up for me.
Yeah, two thumbs up for me. 100%. I love VR chat. So this week, for Game Focus, we decided to play through the new Star Wars game, Galaxy's Edge by Industrial Light and Magic. And I am a massive Star Wars fan, absolutely huge. I remember when I was like 8 years old, playing with a giant Rebel transporter toy that I got for Christmas. And, you know, in the background, I'm watching Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And, you know, for me, Star Wars is just something I grew up with, and it ignited my love for science fiction and that kind of thing. So going to Galaxy's Edge, you know, I already had preconceived ideas of how I would want the game to be. And it had a lot to live up to. But I have to say, I did enjoy my time with it. But I do have a few things I want to talk about. But first of all, let's get Greg's impression of the game. So, Greg, what did you think of Galaxy's Edge in your playthrough?
Well, I've only played about an hour and a half of the game thus far.
Snap.
Yeah, and like you, I mean, Star Wars. I was 7 when Star Wars hit the theaters, the first one, and so I've grown up with Star Wars. I had all the toys, and I wish I still had them in the box. And,
Don't we all? Worth a fortune now, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. But it was exact for me. It was exactly what I expected it to be. I wasn't going into it expecting some big deep Star Wars game because we're seeing a lot of people complaining that it's short and it's kind of like an on rails shooter type thing. And I don't know. I felt like it's an interactive movie, but you're in the Star Wars universe, and it's done really well. It's polished. You're playing on the Quest 2, and it looks fantastic. That things like when you start up and you open that window and you're in light, you're in hyperspace and everything, and then you come out, and then like the Millennium Falcon flies by. It's like, oh, it's the Millennium Falcon.
It does have those moments, doesn't it? Like, you realize you are playing something in the Star Wars universe. No, it's not from like the original trilogy. It's a kind of spin-off side story. But for me, it felt like I was in Star Wars universe. And, I actually would say that I'm enjoying my playthrough, and I haven't been disappointed so far, really. We have...
But, going into that cantina, going in there, I tried the little dart game thing that they had, and I was failing miserably. And then I realized it was costing me money, so I stopped playing because I didn't want to do that. You know, I like little touches like your wrist and little hologram guy that's talking to you. You know, that's
Yeah.
really good. That feels Star Wars. Uh, the gun mechanics are fine. I found them a little hard to aim.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't I don't like, well, like you were saying, I don't like when the gun runs out and I have to find a new damn gun. That's kind of a pain in the
Yeah,
butt.
so let's jump into that a second. So
Yeah.
basically, they've got a mechanic where the gun degrades. So after you've used it 4 or 5 times, that's it. You can't use it anymore, and you have to drop it and find another weapon. So as long as you've killed, say, another enemy close by, you can run over to their body and you can pick up their blaster and continue to use it. But this mechanic, I don't like this in games. I really don't. And there's not many mechanics I don't like.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
You never ever saw anybody like, oh shit, my lightsaber's broken. Gotta go find
Yeah.
another one.
I've
you
only
know?
used my lightsaber 3 times. I've got to get another one. You know, it's like it doesn't happen, does it? Han Solo doesn't fire his blaster 5 times and go, "Oh, Chewie, I need another blaster." No, like that just doesn't happen, you know. So, why they put this in here, I don't understand. Like, I first encountered this mechanic in Zelda Breath of the Wild. And every time I hit an enemy with like a wooden club, it would break and I'd have to go and find something else. And it was the most frustrating mechanic. And to have this in Star Wars, no, I'm not happy. No.
Yeah. It's for what it is, though. I think it's fine. I don't think this game was designed for people that are really into VR, looking for a deep VR experience. I think this game was designed to be, something that's really easy to get into and play for all of these new people with their shiny new quests in VR. Because I guarantee you, if you've never experienced VR before and somebody put this game on you, you would have your mind blown.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for those of us that have been playing in VR now for years, it's like, but not everything needs to be Half-Life Alyx. And sometimes little experiences like this are, I think they're kind of refreshing and enjoyable because I know I don't have a massive time commitment to play through it.
Yeah.
So you sit down for a couple playthroughs and you're done. That's okay. I can deal with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on the fact that it is like a short experience and it's one maybe for new Quest users, definitely. I think it's really hard to forget as a VR enthusiast, like the impact that VR has when people first put that headset on because we're so used to it now. And in a way, I'd love to have a little button I could push just to wipe my brain for a second and just experience everything afresh from the first time that you get that wow moment in VR and have that with pretty much every game that's dropping now, you know. I'd love to wipe my brain, play Half-Life Alyx for the first time again and just have my mind blown. And I think we have got used to it, haven't we? We've got used to that wow moment now. And we forget that these kind of experiences that are coming now to the Quest are designed for new users so that they have their wow moment.
Yeah. I gotta say that and I made this comment in my Let's Play when I did it. The very first time I played Half-Life Alyx, I had that feeling.
Yeah.
It was the same feeling I had when I first jumped into the lab when I first got my Vive and how blown away I was and everything, you know. And here I was in Alyx, and that helicopter came flying over my head, you know, when the white turns into the city, and I'm looking out, and I was just like, I get goosebumps now just thinking about it. It's that good, and so we could still have those moments. This game isn't going to do that for us. Galaxy's Edge it's fun.
It's not going to do it for us as VR enthusiasts, but it is going to do it for new Quest users.
Absolutely.
And that's totally
Anybody that's never done VR,
at.
they're just like, whoa, fuck, I'm in Star Wars. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, don't get me wrong, there are moments in this where I did stop and think for a second, oh my God, like, you know, I'm on some sort of crazy space freighter in the Star Wars universe, and, you know, I've got Han Solo's blaster in my hand. You know, it's the same design blaster as Han Solo uses, and I'm holding it in my hand and I'm shooting things right now with it, you know. And there's another part of the game that I absolutely love, and that is the use of the training droids. So in the original Star Wars film, very first one, New Hope, Luke trains with a training droid, which is like a little spherical object. Yeah, that's the one. Really good sound effect, by the way.
Yeah,
really good sound effect. That's exactly it. Do it again. Do it again. It's so good. It's so good. It's like there's one in the room with me, I tell you. And it kind of spins around and it shoots these kind of little laser bolts at Luke, who hits him with the lightsaber. And he's learning to use the lightsaber, and he's training him on that. And use the Force, that kind of thing. And in the Galaxy's Edge, you have the ability to pick these up. They're kind of lying around the environment. And there's different types of them. And in the middle of battle, you can throw one in the air, and it starts hovering, and then it helps you. So it starts taking out enemies, and it's great because you feel like you've got some sort of assistance, robotic assistance. So
one of them, a shield around you. I think I didn't.
Oh, really? I haven't come across that one yet.
I picked that one up. It was up in that. Well, it's hard to explain, but I found one and I just put it in my inventory.
Yeah.
I also realized that stupid screw gun thing, or the multi-tool.
Oh, multi-tool, yeah.
I thought I lost it after the ship.
Is in your inventory.
Down. Yeah, so I went through all of this stuff, and I was like, well, hopefully I find one of these things again, because I can't open up any of these containers right now.
Yeah, it's I made the same mistake, so you have to scroll to the second screen of the inventory, and it's there, isn't it? So yeah, and then you can attach it back on your front again.
Why did just leave it on your belt where it was in the first time? I don't know.
I quite like the multi-tool in this game. I mean, obviously it's never going to be as good as something like No Man's Sky, which I think was one of the first to introduce this kind of crazy multi-tool concept. Mm-hmm. It's just one thing that can do so many different other things, whether it's shaping the environment or building a building or undoing a screw, whatever it is. This kind of multi-tool idea is great. And again, Half-Life Alyx had a multi-tool as well. So it's definitely kind of a new asset that developers are going to include in games moving forward. And I think they do it really well in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I mean, it's got, three main functions, I think, in this game?
Yeah, it's like got an arc, and it's got a flamethrower thing, and then a screw gun.
Yeah, and a screw gun as well. And I quite like the mini games with it. There's something very satisfying about undoing the screws with that multi-tool, isn't there? Yeah, the way it locks on to the screw head. It's like, God, I wish when I was doing DIY at home, I could be that sure where the screw head was, because I end up missing it and nearly cutting into a finger or something, And but in the game, it's like clunk, zzz, nice, works well. I like it, and also the what do you call it, where you can use a flame. I forgot what they're called. Not a flamethrower. No, for DIY, it's called it's a torch, I guess, isn't it? Flame torch. Flame torch. Is that what it is?
It's a torch.
Torch. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Flame torch DIY thing. I like the functionality of that as well. I think that's good.
One thing I don't like. I don't like that. You get the jetpack thing, so you can get to higher spaces, but you just go, and that's it. It's just like an instant, you're transported up, and then you can't go anywhere. I'm like, if I have a jetpack, I want to be able to kind of fly over the place, kind of like I do in.
It feels like kind of like an afterthought. They were like, okay, so if you choose smooth
how are we going to get up there?
How are we going to get up there? And rather than instigate a jump mechanic, they did this weird hover pack thing, like jetpack thing. But as you say, it's like you hit one button and suddenly you just go bang. And you're just, catapulted up to one specific set level, and then you can teleport from there onto the ledges and things.
Yeah,
but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all.
Why can't I just walk into a new room, that might be a little different level? Why do I have to teleport into there? I don't understand.
Yeah, you're right. As you go through certain rooms, there's literally just a step down, and if there's a difference in the level, you have to teleport down it rather than just jumping down with smooth locomotion. That seemed a bit clunky.
That's probably why they did that. Like I said, this game was definitely not designed for veteran VR players in mind.
No, I don't think it was originally designed for smooth locomotion, free locomotion either. I think they designed it for teleport first, and then thought actually a lot of VR players out there want smooth locomotion, and it felt like maybe it was a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah,
which might explain, part of the reason why these mechanics feel a little bit clunky in places.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get, I think there's a DLC with it too. Something with Yoda.
Okay.
You go into some temple. Now, I haven't played it yet because I haven't got through the main campaign yet.
So DLC is available already?
I believe so, yes. There is a DLC with it. I think that's
Ah,
included with a lot of people are talking about how it took 3 hours to beat. I think
yeah.
they're actually including that.
They're
It's something
including the
about it.
DLC for
I
the full
think
playthrough at
so.
3 hours.
Don't quote me on that. Look,
Okay.
but
I mean,
uh,
in a way, it is a little bit unfair that we're kind of pulling the game apart when we haven't fully completed it yet. Both of us, we're both about an hour and a
not
half
really
into it.
I think both of us are enjoying it.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Like, don't get me wrong. Some of the mechanics are a bit clunky and things, but overall, the experience is one that I'm thoroughly enjoying. The sound design as well is
yeah,
quite
sounds
incredible in
good.
this. What do you think of the music, that kind of thing?
The music is fine. I think I actually ended up turning it down though. I turned it down way down
Couldn't have
because
been
like
that
at the
great then.
well, it wasn't that it was bad. The music is great. The problem is so loud. And so like
Okay.
when you first start off on that freighter ship and the robot pilot is talking to you, I couldn't hear him because the music was so damn
Yeah,
loud.
I
So
had
I
the same
I had
issue.
to turn it way down so I could hear and I was like, I don't know what you just said, dude.
Yeah, it was
So,
it was quite loud actually at that bit. I had problems listening to him as well. I would like that kind of Star Wars game that feels even more AAA than this one, that has a lot more depth, maybe role play elements in it. Um,
oh yeah.
just oh God, I really want that experience, and
I know something like a Skyrim style, just
yeah, so
big world, open.
yeah, something that's not like on rails shooter like this. It's a bit more open. Yeah. God, could you imagine if they had like Skyrim Star Wars? Jeez,
Oh, that'd be
that
great.
that
Yeah.
would be incredible in VR. It really would.
You know, I don't know what's going on with Starfield, but that might be something like that. Only that's a flat game, so
I don't know anything about that game.
it's a
What is it about
Bethesda
then?
title.
It's
That's a
Bethesda, is it?
Bethesda. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
They've been working on it for years.
mhm.
I'm guessing it'll probably be out in 2021.
And is that an RPG along the similar kind of ilk as Skyrim and Oblivion? Is it?
Yeah, Todd Howard's been pushing that thing and talking about how it's like the greatest thing ever. You're just going to be blown away, but we can't tell you anything about it. So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we'll
Interesting.
see. I mean, Bethesda's been kind of not doing so great lately, so we'll see.
Well, yeah, Fallout 76 wasn't met with the best reception, was it? And they've been taken over by Microsoft as well recently, which
Yeah,
will affect things in some shape or form. Whether or not we ever see another VR game from Bethesda is a
I know,
big
right?
question mark on that now as well, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
hopefully, maybe that will come out and it will kind of scratch that itch that we have for the kind of deep playing Star Wars style game. You know?
Yeah, let's hope. Let's
Yep.
hope.
Fingers crossed. Cool. So there you have it, folks. That was episode 3 of the TripVR podcast. Thank you very much for joining us and watching us. We'll be back in a couple more weeks with episode 4. Do hit the like, subscribe, and bell if you want more of this content. And it's goodbye from me, VR Bug.
And goodbye from me, Dr. Greg.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.